Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast, episode number 18. I'm Berney Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward children. I believe that our country's best days are still in front of us, but if those best days are to come, we need to change the direction of the country now, before it's too late. I intend to talk about important topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. This week, our guest is activist Blanca Tapahuasco. Let's get started. Blanca Tapahuasco is originally from San Salvador, El Salvador. Along with her younger brother, Blanca was adopted and grew up in Baltimore County, Maryland. After high school, Blanca studied at the Maryland Institute College of Art. Blanca has been teaching and tutoring people from all over the world, both privately and in public school settings, for over 20 years. She has traveled to Mexico several times and has served as a medical translator in some of the most remote areas of eastern Mexico as part of a Christian medical caravan team. Blanca and her husband have three amazing boys who keep her inspired, challenged, and teach her the importance of enjoying life at its fullest every day. Blanca is concerned that politics do not belong in the classroom and that the educational system is failing because children are not being prioritized. Blanca has taught Spanish to elementary schoolers and at a parochial school and has seen teachers sneaking their political bias into the classrooms. She's worried that no school in Baltimore could effectively teach core academics without inserting bias or adult topics. Blanca quit her job teaching to homeschool her youngest son due to concerns about adult topics like gender identity and sexual orientation being taught in Baltimore's education system. Blanca, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Outstanding. Thank you for being here. I have a couple of questions for you. Would you like to get started?
Yes, I am ready.
My dear friend. Blanca, what do you believe is one of the greatest challenges facing public school children?
Well, as a mom, first of all, I'm a mom of three sons. I have both volunteered in schools and worked in schools. And what I see is this nonchalant attitude of administrators and teachers, and not all. Some are very equipped and they're very experienced in the area of education. However, what I see is that there is more of a low expectation, and low is going to equal low. It's just not going to, you're not going to rise above what is not given to you as a challenge. And so, one of the greatest concerns I have is the attitude of, if we keep things low, on the low key, if we become friendly, we can be friendly. But if we become friendly enough to gain trust, then maybe the children will be eager. And I have yet to meet an uneager 4-year old. They love to explore, they love to learn, they love to play, they love to learn in a setting, and then they like their quiet time. But the nonchalant attitude of many to have the lowest expectations, have absolutely no sympathy for, not talking about the social emotional learning, we're talking about sympathy for that individual child. The berating, the meaning that I saw was just cruel. It would break your heart. And it was done by the most vulnerable, which includes the majority of Black students, which are the student populace in Baltimore City.
Wow. And you certainly would know as a professional educator. I got another question for you. You ready?
Yes.
Why do you believe parent engagement is not on the upswing in Baltimore City?
Well, the times of bake sales and PTAs and celebrating those milestones, whether they be big or small, those spelling bee contests, those are in the days of the past. That's what I grew up with, and the norm. That was probably what you recall. There was a high expectation. You had respect for the administrator, the principal. You had respect for the teacher. And so what I see is that the parent is no longer engaged because some parents, again, some parents believe that they are just enrolling their children in daycare centers instead of recognizing that educational hubs are born from, again, an eager student with an engaged parent. That's powerful. But once you solidify it with an excellent educator that has no bias, people say, oh, well, everybody has a bias. Everybody, we may, but there should be no bias in who we teach, what we teach, how we deliver the material that they need, because it's not about us. It's not about me and my hidden agenda, but it should be about this child that I have in front of me and trusted may be the next senator. And so we don't treat him or her as a senator. We treat them like that person in training to reach his or her full potential rather than, again, we're going to be friendly enough, but we're not going to challenge them enough. That's an issue. And so why would parents then become engaged when they see that they're really, it's low expectations for your child. And then to be honest with you, parents should want to volunteer, be those readers in the classroom. But I have also found that parents are not reading to their children, not because they don't want to, is because they're unable to. So if you're unable to support them at home, how can you expect someone to extend beyond the home and then support a school and all of the efforts that they're having? That is why I believe we have low engagement.
Wow. That's something to think about. I got another question for you. You ready?
Yes. Yes.
This will be the last one. Why do you specifically reach Black students whose literacy rate on average is 2 to 6 grades behind?
Yes. Well, the number one reason is because I have three sons. I have three boys. And this is not to say that I have done it, did it, I completed my mission. They are still in school. But I can tell you, I read to them when they were still in my womb. I read to them when they were in my arms. I read to them when I was holding their hand on their way to school. I read to them at night. I read to them to calm them when they had fears. And so reading is not just essential. Reading is so vital to the development of that child. So when I hear a fifth grader who cannot read more than a one syllable word, like the word on or in or at, but they couldn't read the word living, double. I was stunned. I was shocked. And most of the boys that are referred to me are in the third, fourth, or fifth grade. I get referred a lot. I'm actually at the library right now.
Wow.
I felt that this setting was good lighting and a nice quiet space. I have a 16-year-old just down the street working at the grocery store. And here I'm coming in to have this interview with you. And the lady at the front desk said, oh, Ms. Blanca, we gave your information to two adults. They want to learn and improve in their literacy and fluency in the language. Wonderful. Well, these are the people that are referred to me. I count it a honor that somebody calls me and say, can you help my son? He's behind. And so the reason, the number two reason I help is because it seems to me that most of the boys, they've told me with tears, have told me that they are ignored in the classroom. And then they open up and say to me, Miss Blanca, I just don't know how to read, and that's why I act out. I can understand that. I tell them, of course I understand that, but I won't leave you where you are, but I can't carry you alone. We must engage them with content material that's challenging. But the most of the students that I have tutored, and this is in both private and public school, are boys, are boys. And there's a trend. I'm not saying that girls are advanced or girls, but boys learn differently. I have three of them. I know that there are three different boys, three different needs, three different interests, but differential teaching can work, but not when you have 38 students in a classroom, not when you have 35, even 33. And these boys, when I see them with tears in their eyes and saying, I want to get better, but I was ignored. I was told you should have learned that in second grade. You're now in fifth grade. And so the berating and demeaning, and I don't know what it is to be a male, but I can tell you this, it hurts just the same if somebody said you're not enough. You're not doing, you should have. What's wrong with you? And so these boys that I can think of, one I started in February, and by May he was starting to read his first paragraph ever as a 10-year-old. And he actually, at least successfully, was able to enter fifth grade. He's starting fifth grade. He didn't have to repeat the grade. It's not me, Berney. It's what I see. I
Yeah.
see a little person when I was 10 years old. Somebody sat with me, Mrs. Goldberg, when I didn't know English. She never screamed and yelled at me. She knew I couldn't speak English. I know they can't read. And so we start where they are. I tell them I will guide you and lead you. But there's a trend, and I believe the young boys are really suffering even more than anyone else because they are told, hold your tears back. Okay, you need to be a man. Well, a little boy can't be a man overnight as much as a plant can be bloomed after you've put the seed in the night before. It doesn't happen that way. And so for me, I have a heart for the boys because I have three, but I also have a heart for these African American boys that opened up to me and said, I was just ignored. I was just told I mean, it was sad to hear that a fifth grader told me entering sixth grade, he was given a pre-K summer packet to do before he would get to his sixth grade middle school because they said that's what you can do at home. So we're going to give you what that should have been taken care of 6 years ago when
Yeah.
he was in pre-K. So I have a really my heart breaks, but I know that I am trying to heal as many tears and or try to wipe as many tears and heal as many young men because they are going to be boys growing up and developing to be men.
Blanca, I know said that I wasn't going to ask you any more questions, but I got to ask you this.
Sure.
What would you like to say to the people? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, what I like to say is that being an immigrant isn't a badge of honor. Being an immigrant is really the opportunity to really shine with my own light, not shine brighter, but shine with my own light. All I know is that I want to invest in what I know how to do best. I know I love children because I was a loved child. I was nurtured and adopted from a very horrible situation. Some of the situations are similar to what I hear, but someone took me in. I also want to share that if a parent is in need and they cannot read and they're not able to succeed and they're not able to lead a life that they can reach for help. Reach a confidant, reach someone who really you can trust and build rapport with, because it doesn't really help that adult anymore to for them to remain in that turmoil of what can I do? There's many adults who have goodness, there's many adults, senior adults that have graduated high school and college. I'm not saying that should be the goal. The goal should be though to be able to provide a platform for you to shine your light. And lastly, I would say that being an American it's not just again this slap bumper sticker and I am who I am. And it's not. It's a combination of all the experiences, but also the opportunities that were afforded. And I can tell you this every opportunity that was afforded here as an American could never and still never I could never be offered somewhere else outside of here. I couldn't go back to El Salvador and have the same opportunities here. So you are looking at someone who is both grateful. I am thankful. I am first, yes, a mom. I am a Christian. I'm an American. But also, I see myself as a collaborator of all those who want to say, I can invest in others, and the honor and glory doesn't go to us. We don't need a medal. However, the honor and the glory truly belong to our audience of one.
Amen. Blanca, do you have a good word for our Spanish speakers in the audience?
Definitely. Les quiero decir que hay esperanza. Hay una gran oportunidad en este país para progresar. Y no solo progresar, pero tener un, una experiencia que no pueda comparar con cualquiera, que cada persona vale y cada persona tiene un propósito específico. So what I said is I want to share that there is hope. There is hope. And that each person specifically has a purpose. That every opportunity that is afforded, that we should take it and that we should not reject it. And that every person does matter to a point of the smallest molecule. They matter to that point.
Outstanding. How do people get a hold of you if they need you?
Yes, well, my email is the best way to get a hold of me. My email is Blanca Tapa. That's my first name, BlancaTapa @yahoo.com. Would love to hear comments or any questions or inquiries. And it certainly would be a pleasure to get feedback on the great work that Berney Flowers is doing as he is doing this podcast. And I enjoy watching you, and I have seen several. I just haven't done all of them, but I need a weekend just to watch the podcast.
Well, Blanca, I'm just as big a fan of yours as you are of mine, and I consider you to be among the greatest Americans that I know. Thank you for being on my show, and let's do this again sometime soon.
Definitely. I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Liberty Arise Media and other podcasters. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and to this channel. Be sure to get your copy of my new book, Black Values Matter, available on Amazon or as an ebook on Audible or on Apple Books. And remember, it's okay to disagree, but if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility from ourselves and our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast.